Commissioners for May the 6th. Over. And if we would, we'll stand and remember and snap from the first report will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, as this meeting begins, I ask your blessing upon all who take part. Refine the skill and wisdom of the commissioners and of all our public officials. Guide their decisions today so they'll contribute to a way of life in Tipton County that's secure, peaceful, helpful to our neighbors, and pleasing in your sight. Lord, especially for those who suffered losses from the floods, we ask your provision. We consider the prophetic words that when you guide your people, the light shall dawn, and they'll be called those who repair the broken walls, those who restore the broken streets. So may the content of this meeting be in accordance with your presence, its results be in harmony with your will. Through Jesus our Lord, amen.
Amen. If you would, remain standing, we'll have the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And as a reminder, if you would, please turn your ringers off on your phones.
Tell us what happened there.
Turn your phone off.
Tell us what happened to the chair here.
He had other obligations. So.
Okay. That's what we want to know.
Okay, first thing we'll do is payroll.
Totals are a little bit higher this time. There's about $1,500 in the treasurer part-time, and then the drainage board for the other half of your guys' other commissioners' pay was on this one. And then Greg's commissioner, council, secretary pay was on this as well.
Nothing different from what was sent
Well, I said,
electronically.
yeah. But the total payroll for May 10th, 2013 is $134,649.78.
I knew we approved the payroll for May 10th, 2013 for $134,649.78.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and second to pay payroll 5/10/2013 in the amount of $134,649.78. All those approved, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next is miscellaneous claims.
Claims total is $141,859.25.
This is the same as was sent electronically, except for the one that you gave us.
Yes.
A separate copy.
Yes.
Could you put a copy of my file?
Yes.
Too much paper.
I move we approve the claims for $141,859.25 for the docket date 5/6/2013.
Second that motion. We have a motion and a second to pay claims in the amount of $141,859.25 for docket date 5/6/2013. All those in agreement by say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
We had a separate docket for Greg's auditors conference, and the total was $185.
I move we approve the claim for Greg's travel and conference registration expense for $185 dated 4/23/2013.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and second to pay claim for the auditor travel in the amount of $185 for docket date 4/23/2013. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
We received Marla Featherstone's bond. You will need to make a motion to approve
refresh my memory how we pay this, there was some confusion.
It's
For the year?
Yeah, it's already been paid.
All right.
This is just the copy that gets signed and recorded.
Okay. Okay, so you just need a motion to approve the, I move we approve the bond for Marla Featherston, Tipton County Auditor.
Second that motion. We have a motion and second to pay the bond for Marla Featherstone bond. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. Thank you. You guys give that to him? You gotta give all this stuff to him? I'll take it all. Just put that in his packet.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Brett, Highway Department?
Morning.
Morning.
I have an application for a road cut. It's a new drainage tile. It's on 550 north between 200 and 300 west for Darrell Maple. The drainage tile.
I move we approve the application permit number 1307 for a agriculture drainage open cut.
I'll second that motion. Want to give a location?
I can. 550 north between 200 west and 300 west.
We have a motion and second to approve a, what's highway cuts?
Yes.
Highway cut at 550 north and approximately someplace between 200 and 300 west for Harold Maple. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I don't have to sign that?
Aye.
That, yes.
But it's his signature.
Did I cut it off?
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just go. I'm used to it.
Okay, I have another application for work in the right-of-way, permit number 1308. This is for Dan Stowers, is 101 South Meridian Street in Goldsmith. It's just a small addition to his driveway. I've looked at it. I don't see as it requires a pipe or anything. There's not an existing pipe underneath his driveway. I don't know that this new part would need anything either, but thought we'd have to do the paperwork on it. He's just adding to his driveway about 15 feet wider or so for a new garage.
I move we approve permit number 1308 for Dan Stowers at 101 South Meridian Street, Goldsmith, Indiana.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve permit number 1308 for Dan Stowers to add width to his driveway at 101 South Meridian Street in Goldsmith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
We've received 2 quotes from different contractors for the replacement of the culvert pipe on 200 East over the Wells open ditch. I recommend that we accept the quote from Shannon Excavating, $26,000 for the replacement of that pipe.
Where's it located?
200 East, it's in between 150 North and 200 North. It's a small structure, actually. That structure will come out and a new multi-plate structure go in. Shannon was the cheaper of the 2 quotes, so
S-H-A-N-N-O-N.
Yes. Here's a copy of it if you'd like to see it.
Got the money to pay for it?
Yes. That's actually Phil's.
Phil's, okay, on his,
I was just presenting it because he's not here yet.
we just have to get 2 quotes on these, or he does, Phil does.
If you want to put
That's all we have.
comparison, that's the same.
Wow.
You see why?
I move we approve. Quote for the 200 east, help me with some addresses here.
It's going to be 200 east,
Do you want to?
between
Okay.
150 and north.
Well, it'd be 200 east over Wells Open Ditch.
Yeah.
From A.K. Shannon for the sum of $26,000.
Second the motion. We have a motion and second to approve the bid of A.K. Shannon to replace the small structure culvert pipe at 200 east at approximately between 150 and 200 north. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
I don't think you have to sign it.
Okay.
Last thing I have is contract for the additional money on 560 West that the state came up with, NDOT came up with for the cantilevers. We'll need a signature on the contract.
Something like 40,000?
Yes, it was for the $40,000 additional money. I've already had Phil to look at the contracts and Greg that works with it. The additional crossing at 560 West. Oh, yeah.
Is this just for our information, or is?
Actually, there's a signature page on the back, the very last page. It has to be signed when you have to return it to NDOT.
I don't think we need to agree to that.
Back, last page.
I think we need a motion to agree to that too.
Well, this was on the appeal of the 560 West cantilevers. The state found a bunch of money to
Right.
pay for the cantilevers 100% now. And so this is just a contract to accept the money and approve it so we can get the cantilevers starting to be built.
We have to have a motion to approve that, don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I move we accept the contract, and I assume the contract's with the state. Yes.
Yes.
To accept the cost for the cantilevers of the 560 West project in the amount
To
of.
accept the cost?
Yeah.
I think that $40,000, I believe.
Right.
If I remember right.
Correct.
So we need to accept the state's payment of the,
Well, when you approve that, you're in essence accepting the state's payment.
I'll second the motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with the state for the cost of the cantilevers on 560 West. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Are you gonna be here for a while in the meeting? Well, later on in the agenda, we have a discussion about 400 East tile.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your input on that before you take off.
Okay.
Make sure I get all this too. I sent, Sherry those numbers from the House bill on, they added additional 400 and some thousand. And maybe you know, do you have to share that money with the other entities?
I
think that's all yours?
I think. I'll double check.
Well, I guess it makes no difference what that is. It's good news.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
What can you tell us about that? You wanna do it now, or you just stick around?
I'll stick around.
Sheriff Moses.
Morning. First thing, both or all three cars are in. The two Impalas have been traded in, and the Tahoe was taken up to Dan today. And what I need is the commissioner to go sign the titles.
I'm gonna do that.
You will do that? And
After
then
we leave here,
I
I go by.
think they want Greg to sign the lease agreement. I don't know if that's. Mike,
Because he's the executive.
Okay.
I'm not permitted to.
But they,
Mike signed everything except that one.
okay, the title.
Liberty, and
Okay, good, so they're all.
He asked
They're
him
done
to
now.
stop by and sign that after the meeting.
All right, and the two should be done this week, the two Fords, and then the Tahoe. I'm just gonna, after you guys sign the title over and they do the paperwork, I will take the other one down to have it lighted out and stuff. The other thing is, I have a couple papers here for you guys to look at, and I got some bills for you. On the cell phone thing that I discussed with the council, and they wanted me to bring to you guys, and this is a couple bills that are a little more in-depth, and I joke, like on average, it's like one was 43 and the other one was 54. That's how we come up with an average of 45. And then this is what I'm asking for in the way of asking that you guys will restructure our cell phone line item of 1,3260-00005 and ask that you pay officers $20 a month for their own cell phone. Right now, I've got that will cost us about $220 a month for 11 officers. That way, they're still required to answer it if we pay for it. Put it into a new item. Put it in the have a new item or line created, 1100 salary line. Because right now it's costing us $495 a month, and then about $29.70 every 6 months. And if we do the $220 an officer, it'll knock it up to $220 a month, and cost us $1320 every 6 months. So that'll save us about $1,600.
All right, what, they're
just copies of.
These are just private.
Those are our bills. We get those on every guy,
And then you pay them?
and then we pay them. All in one lump sum, we put them all together.
Yeah, but if one guy's bill's 54 and the other one's 40, you still pay them.
Because that's what our contract is. That's what we pay for. We supply the cell phones for the guys right now.
They're private cell phones.
No. Our work cell phones are paid by the county
Okay,
because they're on call 24/7.
I understand. But
And the reason some of them are higher than others, some of them have, we put an unlimited text package on some of them. Because if you get over so many texts a month, and which that happens through the CAD system in communications, because they're all set up to, if there's an emergency, something happens, that automatically comes across every one of our phones. They send that text out, and every guy gets it when it comes out.
And that costs additional money, that's why.
Yeah, it costs us more to do that. So I think we would save some money tremendously, because I think you guys, I think the council budget is like $3,500 a year, and then the other $3,500 comes out of my commissary fund.
Well, then,
That's how I pay for it.
this, a deputy's cell phone is a condition of employment. I assume, right?
Yes.
Okay, but he doesn't supply his cell phone. All right. Well,
No, we do.
I guess the thing I'm confused about is we pay $54 for one fellow and we pay 40 for
Right.
another.
It's
But
on the usage.
I guess if we're gonna go to 20,
Yeah, it's on the usage is what we pay for. Some guys probably use theirs more than others too. That's another part of it.
That is
so
still
what we're paying then is
I know the names are, yeah, I saw that too.
we're paying for $14 a month of private use, which I guess that's okay.
Their last meeting, it was discussed, that will this have to be turned in as a taxable?
I think if you put it in the salary line, they will tax them on it, but that's part up.
Mr. Brooks is the one that brought that up.
Yeah.
It says, there's gonna be some research done to find out
Right.
how we're gonna handle that.
When I worked for the city did that, but we had to have landlines. They made a base payment of $40 a month, every officer, every 6 months. And then they started paying on our cell phones too, so they finally cut out the landline, because it was, nobody has landlines hardly anymore, or not a bunch.
So it will be a salary item, which will be taxable.
Yes, but they can also claim it on their, business expense also on their taxes if they wanted to. Since they have to provide, they have to answer. Once we pay for it, they have to be available.
Is that all we need on that, John?
Yes,
Okay.
because the auditor will take care of it just like they do personal use of cars and stuff.
Right. So it's just something I wanted to bring to you. I know our contract is either up right now or it's going to be up pretty soon. So,
So you don't have any cell phones that are on our county contract? These 11,
they're
they're all on private?
Their lead sets our contract, it's county. But we have our own contract with them because she cuts a better deal than what the county can get. Being law enforcement, she gets a lot more discounts than the rest of the county.
The sheriff starts on their cell phone, they're separate from all the rest.
Yes.
How many cell phones does the sheriff department have that are on the county contract? Does all 11 of them have them?
All 11 deputies, myself, Lee, and Lee. There's,
Have cell phones on the county contract?
no, on your contract, no. On the county, no. On our contract, through the
Well,
county.
the county's
Yes.
paying,
Right.
okay.
It's about 13 of them.
So, and we're already supplying your contracted cell phones, but now we're gonna put $20 a month into another cell phone?
I'm gonna stop that. The guys are gonna have, they're gonna be able to buy their own plan, and we're just gonna give them $20 a month per diem for their own plan. And this will stop.
Saving $1,600. Saving $1,600.
Now, I'm gonna give you a heads up on something.
Hold on, now wait a minute.
Okay.
Let me just
When you're
get, I
done.
want one thing just clear. Every deputy, these 11 deputies are going to have one cell phone supplied by the county at $20 a month.
No.
No, they don't use their own personal.
They will buy their own plan. We're gonna,
I don't care about their own plan. How many
We're not gonna
dollars a
pay
month,
for it.
how many dollars a month are we gonna supply, are we gonna spend for cell phones for a deputy?
$20 a month.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, so that's what I want. I don't care if you
Now,
have, 10 cell phones,
okay,
but.
right. Right, I think it's 11 deputies that we would supply for, and it's $220 a month
Okay, I understand.
instead of $495. Okay, now heads up on something. The computers in the cars that I bought through commissary and stuff that we're putting in so guys can get their information and stuff like that. I talked to the chief over in the city, and we're finding out this, to run 28s, like if I want to get your license plate and run who you are when I'm, or your license or something like that. what we were gonna do was go with an 800 megahertz modem that runs through that. The company's going out of business. That's what we're hearing, we're not sure. But the city's talking about getting a server and making it a city-county, the chief and I have been talking, trying to like get a city-county server. He's gonna talk to Bill Steen today. And we'll use air cards in our things, which may cost me $20 a month for an air card, which is the internet, to download into the server. If we can get on this plan, and this is down the line, but I didn't want to get blindsided down the line. We got computers, we can't use them because it's out of business. But the way the server works, if they get it working like what they're talking, our guys will do the report out in the field, they'll hit send, and it will take it, send their arrest report or whatever, right straight to the prosecutor's office, to his computer. That saves them from having to come over and get them and stuff like that. It's something that's in them, they're talking about, and I've been talking with Tom about it a little bit, that I bring somebody else in a little more knowledgeable in that sense to let you guys hear how it would work and stuff like that. Because we had all the modems donated to us to run the plates and stuff, but now the company, the IPSC, is we're hearing is not going to be in business at the end of the year. State's not upgrading all their computers due to the fact, I think they know more than we do about it.
But that's not relevant to this.
No,
Okay.
no, it just,
It's a maybe. This is a request.
They have no.
no, they have nothing to do with that. No,
All right.
I just want to give you a heads up on that ahead of time.
Okay. I move we approve the sheriff's request for a $20 a month paid cell phone fee for 11 officers.
What about the sheriff and the
I will
lead
still,
two?
He didn't
we will
ask
pay
for that.
mine. We will pay mine out of county commissary. The major and myself who's
He
called all the
only
time.
asked for 11.
Only ask for 11.
Right, I only asked for 11 deputies, 11 deputies.
You're gonna put stipulation that they stop this plan?
Well, no, because that'll come up in claims, right?
Okay.
Well, all right, in lieu of your, then the motion will include in lieu of your present cell phone plan.
I'll second that. We have a motion and second to allow the sheriff to set up a $20 payment in lieu of cell phone with stopping the present plan.
I'll probably do it in June, so that way we just,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Anything for me?
Did this, Greg, this went with?
I've got a copy for Greg on this part. It talks about what he needs to transfer to.
You supplied this, John?
Yeah, I put that together also. And then here's the actual original. And then you can read it. Yeah, and I'll see if we can, I'll talk to Verizon and see if we can hold our contract through May that we have currently and then start a new 6 months in June. And see if we can go that way. Another reason, just real quick, the reason for that was guys were carrying 2 cell phones, or they were taking the one we give them and having everything forwarded to their own plane, to their own cell phone, because everybody wants the smartphones now, and I can't pay for smartphones.
Everybody does want a smartphone.
Well, no, there's 2 that don't. Out of the whole place, everybody else wants them. No. But that's why we want to go that way.
You okay?
Anything?
What'd you receive for the trade-in for the 2 Impalas and the Tahoe?
I got, out of Ford on the 2006 Impala, I got $1,500, I think. And the 2008 Impala Ford, I got $2,000. And I think, out of the Tahoe, we got $3,000 from Daniel. So that should just be off the bill and should be making it lower 3-month leases. All right,
Is that you didn't trade them in, that you're just gonna?
yeah, that's what they gave us for that vehicle. like they said, I had a price of $26,000.
If you remember, I asked about that earlier, and you said they weren't trade-ins, you were just gonna take them out there and they were just gonna buy them back. So
Well,
the
that's what I'm sorry, yeah, they're
the
trade.
invoice won't show them as trade-ins, actually.
It should. Should go from 26 to like 23 if that's what the price was on the top. And that way, it keeps those 3 payments low. It was a the other pallet was 1,500, the 2006 Impala, and the 2008 was 2,000. Okay. Anything else?
Nope. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Let's go to Phil Beers Highway, or Phil Beers Engineering Report. He has been dealing with the,
Go real quick.
go ahead.
We're gonna have to present this to the council too in, what is it, a week, 2 weeks from now? Since it's going to a salary line. So we'll have to, Greg will just pick that up that night. Okay? All right, thanks.
And his report dealing with the disc golf club out there to move all the fencing require, if they use a, like a cattle fence, however, is cost prohibitive to the club. But they have also offered to put in a tinsel wire fence that is within their budget. And he sent us a picture of that type of fence. Did you read his recommendation?
Yes.
So, do you want to do anything about that?
Well, there's gonna become a point that we're gonna have to make a decision on whether to allow this or not. I'm not really excited about it. But
He recommends we let them do one section and then the basic decision.
okay, that's his, if they're willing to do that. If they're willing to, that exposure, that's fine with me.
What do you think, Brett? You read Phil's report, didn't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, I have seen the tinsel fence would look better than what we have out there.
But the tinsel fence is not my concern. It's just the, I'm just not sure it's something that's appropriate that we want to do out there. But if they want to put up a section and go out there to look at it.
I feel like the fence itself is okay. What sort of concerns me is the fact, when you put in some of the posts, getting into the line running from the pump house up to the cells. That's
What do you mean, what?
getting into some of the lines that's buried, where they pump from the pump house up to the top cell.
Yeah.
That's my major concern.
The section that Phil recommends is just from the road back to the woods, which is no lines buried
There's no
there.
lines there. You would be okay with doing that.
Well, my problem with it is this. If this activity was some segment or part of a parks and recreation plan for out there, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about it. But I'm just not very comfortable about it yet. But if they want to go ahead and put in this under Phil's supervision, put in this fence to let us look at it, I guess that's fine. But I certainly don't want them to feel that I'm under some obligation to go on and support it.
We need a motion to do that, don't we, Joe? To allow them to build a section of fence?
You would.
Okay, I move that we allow them to build a section of fence under Brett and Phil's supervision.
How come you had me?
Brett,
Oh, Brett, Phil, okay, Phil, Rick.
the other Phil.
Okay.
Okay, Phil and Phil.
Okay. Okay, I will second that motion. Okay, we have a motion and seconded to allow the disc golf group to go ahead and construct start a fence, the first leg, which is from the roadway to back to the woods, and reevaluate when they get that section done. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. I will contact Phil and tell him that you can tell Chris what side it is. Okay, let's see, is Debbie gonna come down here, or are we just gonna move it?
I've looked at it, I just,
Let's just do it.
I would move that we table the request to refinish the floor in the third floor clerk's storage area until we check on available funding.
I will second that motion. We have a motion and second to table the request for refinishing the hardwood floor in the clerk's office. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I have no problem with the project, I just want
Need to find out what we're gonna pay
the
for it.
funding.
Okay, is Legal Shield here?
This is follow-up with our survey that we did with 16 employees in the government, and what we did, we just tested to see how valuable the services we offered would be. You see the first question there, how helpful would it be to you and your family if you could speak with an attorney anytime, about anything without worrying about the high hourly cost? And we nearly had 9 out of 10 employees said that would be somewhat extremely valuable. Question number 2 was, how concerned are you about identity theft? 94% of the people responded they are somewhat to extremely concerned. And question number 3 were, as us as associates, how friendly and helpful were we? And you can see there everybody thought we were extremely friendly and helpful. Number 4, would information about identity theft and legal protection plans help your fellow employees? Everyone thought it would be somewhat to extremely valuable. And then the majority of employees, in summary, they're personally concerned about identity theft. The 2 programs would be of value, both personally and to their coworkers, and we were friendly and helpful. In terms of procedures, the way the program would be managed is we would coordinate with Greg to identify department heads, do a 10 to 15 minute meeting, enrollment meeting with each department, do all that within a calendar week. Employees will be given the opportunity to enroll or decline coverage, coordinate with payroll deduction, that monthly billing process goes smoothly. At the conclusion, report back to y'all the results. And then again, we're looking at $299 to $568 per week, depending on the program that people would enroll in. And as disclaimers, employees are not allowed to use the Legal Shield program against the county. And secondly, the county is not endorsing this, it's just making it available as a benefit to the employees. Any questions or?
$299 a week, do they have to sign up for any period?
No, they can
In and out?
in and out anytime,
Within a
yes.
payroll.
Mhm, exactly.
Mr. Brook, would you jump in on this?
Basically, this is legal insurance, it's like health insurance. Its former name was Prepaid Legal Services. They've been around for a long time. I don't make any recommendations one way or the other. It's strictly up to the commissioners to offer this. You're not endorsing this.
You see no exposure to the county?
No.
Do we need a motion to allow him to,
Yes, you would.
what, just to,
He wrote the motion.
huh? All right.
Okay. I move that we authorize Legal Shield and Identity Theft Shield plans to all Tipton County employees on a voluntary payroll deduction basis.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second to offer Legal Shield and Identity Theft Shield plans to all Tipton County employees on a voluntary payroll deduction basis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Do you want to do this impact statement?
Sure.
Oops, good.
In the aftermath of the flood, we were asked to write an impact statement for a presentation to the governor. had to be in last Friday, so here's this impact statement. On April 19, 2013, Tipton County and the city of Tipton experienced a rain event that was unprecedented in contemporary history. The city and county received 5.6 to 7 inches of precipitation in a 9-hour period. The result of this rainfall was widespread flooding which occurred in the entire county and being most severe in the Big Cicero Creek watershed. As a result of this rainfall, the city of Tipton recorded the highest Cicero Creek level since data has been kept, surpassing the 1957 flood level by 6 inches recorded at the West Street gauge. In the aftermath of the flood, the ominous task of cleaning up and restoring property and helping with human emotional loss is underway. This process of cleanup could take years to complete and to restore this community to its normal state. However, the restoration of the citizens of this community will never return to a normal state. The personal devastation and loss will always be etched in the memories of the victims of the tragedy. For years to come, the slightest shower or a distant bolt of lightning will send these citizens to a nearby window in anticipation of the worst. We, like all people that take great pride in our homes and community, have responded well to this challenge. The county highway, the city street department, police and fire departments, and above all, the emergency management personnel have worked tirelessly and unselfishly to restore this community. However, working tirelessly and unselfishly may not be good enough in the future. Our county and our towns will need assistance in the future to better prepare and mitigate these unlikely events. That assistance could come from many forms or sources, some from higher government agencies and some from our own local government. One preparation that must be undertaken is flood control of Big Cicero Creek. Studies have been taken and solutions have been provided by these studies. It is now time for this community to come together and decide which of these proposed options we want to implement. This endeavor will not be easy or cheap, but most things worthwhile are not easy or cheap. In the short or long run, never are natural disasters good for a community, but this disaster has exposed our weaknesses and our strengths. Our weaknesses we will improve on, our strengths we will exalt. Did I give you a copy to sign?
No.
Joe, can we get a copy of that?
Sure.
You want to make a motion to accept this?
Yes, I move we, although I turned it in Friday, I move we accept the impact statement as written.
I'll second the motion after the fact. We have a motion and second to accept the impact statement for Tipton County. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Now we need to sign a copy, right?
Yeah, we better for his record. Because the copy I took to FEMA was nice.
Mr. Herron, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Just goes at you.
Oh, I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Chief. All right,
I'm
Chief.
George.
I just wonder if there's any, if you have any idea what the county has spent on the flood relief and, cleanup at this point, so you can seek reimbursement.
I can't give you a figure that would be reasonably accurate. It would just be a shoot from the hip thing. I'm sure that, all this is very, very well calculated and records kept. But I think we're really early in that process. Brett, I'm sure you've got a lot of information in the city and things like that. I heard just a number the other day from the city, like landfill fees were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So.
Can I ask a question at that point? Are we going to
Hey,
consider?
Jim? Yes, you may ask a question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are we going to consider possibility of the two options that were in the comprehensive plan? One, I guess, Phil Overdorf Jr. wanted to take out as a committee that was running that, expanding that creek from going across and catching, rather than run the duplicate type of creek all the way around to alleviate the water problem. The other one was a very expensive one. It's still the best, running across past the bowling alley and out that way, tying them together. Is that still in the comprehensive plan? I know we wanted it taken out. I would figure after this problem we've had here, that's the only possible way to alleviate this problem and have our city so it's dry.
All options are still on the table, Jim. Yes.
So I'm hoping that they put it back in the comprehensive plan. He had it taken out. Okay. And I know,
That process starts Thursday night.
thank you. We'll get on at that one. Thank you very much, Joe.
Dee, you want to go ahead since you were here before Christine?
Sure. There you go, I'll trade you. I think in your package you have information from Sarah regarding the ADA plan. And basically she needs to figure out what time frame and money we're looking at so she can have that in that plan that she's submitted for the county so that we can then go forward with a public hearing to move forward with that stuff. And also there was a part of it, I think it was more for Greg about polling places and such. And I don't know how the answer to this right now, I'm not asking for that, but.
What I've seen, yeah, this is shooting over a 30-year period and a commitment, so I'm not prepared to make a decision on it right now.
I understand. I understand. So I guess if we can kind of look over that and figure out what we want so that I can get back to her at some point, but I didn't expect an answer right now, but to bring it to your attention that she needs to know that information.
Well, and
Please and thank you.
I think this is something that the council also needs to be.
That's fine.
They're gonna have to
Have
find
you given this information to the
I
council?
have not, I just got this from Sarah, so,
Yeah, definitely need to share this with the council.
okay,
You'll do that?
I'll do that.
Okay.
Yep, no problem.
We want to just table it, or do we want
I don't know, you didn't ask for any action, right?
No, I didn't expect you to decide on it right now, so,
to? Okay. Thank you for the update.
yep, I'll try to get on the council and take that to them and then come back with their feedback, is that okay?
All right.
Perfect, thank you. I think they're ready for you.
Christine.
Good morning. I made a couple updates to the Tipton County Food Code, and in the packets I provided to the auditor, the first document is kind of the revision copy of the ordinance. It's got all of the new terms are in highlighted, and then everything I'm taking out has the cross through, the strikeout lines through it. And then after that, I have a cleaned up version so you can see what it would look like in the proposed final stage. And then menu type, like what the state, how the state defines menu types for restaurants. Our current fee ordinance for food establishments, and then my proposed fee for food establishments. We've had a couple different individuals come to us and they want to have a seasonal food permit where they can go out, mostly a mobile seasonal food permit, like during the summer months they can go out and sell food on a mobile station. And there are other counties that do this. I looked up several counties surrounding us, including such as Howard County, to get ideas on how we would go about doing this. Ones I could, I looked at their food ordinances. Mostly I was able to access their food fees, what their permit fees were. And so that's how I judged this. I figured it would be good to add the seasonal food permit and the seasonal mobile food permit because that gives more options for entrepreneurs that want to sell food. That way they don't have to pay. Right now we have a prorated rate where you're paying for January, February, March, April, and that's what you guys have even though you weren't open those first couple of the months, and then it's just through when you're open now. Well, you're paying more for the end of the year, sorry. And so it would just be more sensible for them. And then I'm also changing the food, how the food permits are done, and changing it. Right now it's set by number of employees. 1 to 5 employees is a different rate than 6 to 9 and then 10 plus. And right now, that the number of employees is very flexible. Like you might have more people working for you in the summer than you do in the winter. And so someone might have 5 employees this time of year, but then 7 employees another time of year, which would put them under a different permit type. But that's not something the health department can really regulate and keep track of, and it's just much more flexible. However, your menu type, the type of menu that they're on isn't going to change as often. And so it's just going to be much more easier to keep track of the menu type than the number of employees. And other counties have this fee schedule as well. Also, the more complicated the menu, the more county resources are required in time, because it's going to be a longer inspection. Like Jim Dandy's going to be longer than Quick Cup, just because they have a more in-depth menu. Also, I like to do risk-based inspections, which means I'm going to go there more often than I would, like go to a menu 3 more often than I would a menu 1. So the different permit numbers, like the rates, are going to reflect how much county time is spent in each restaurant as well. So today I'm just presenting the information. Maybe you would want to read over it before trying to adopt anything.
It's still $30 for a single event permit?
Yes, I did change the temporary food permit fee as well to reflect more what Howard County does. Because it usually right now what it is 1 to 3 days is $30, and then 4 to 14 days is $60. And so if you're out like at the Tipton Fair, which is only 4 days, you're now paying $60 just for 1 extra day. And so what Howard County does is they do the $30 for up to 3 days, and then $10 additional for each day, not to exceed a certain amount. And I set that at $80 to kind of reflect what the permanent fees were, because I didn't want someone to say, hey, I want to, like if they're open the last 3 days of December, go for a permanent, and like temporary instead of the permanent or whatever. So to try to keep it all relative.
You don't charge for inspections?
No, not for inspection. And then like some counties, for the plan review, they charge a fee for plan review for a new establishment opening, and we don't charge for that.
And the pork festival is handled now, those vendors?
That is a 3-day event, so it's a $30 fee, $30 temporary food permit, and that would not change. The event affect the most would be the people who serve food at the 4-H fair. I think, and then maybe the powwow. There's another like event that takes more than 3 days.
I don't really have a problem with it, but I think, since it's ordinance, I think council should look it over before we pass it.
What?
Pardon me?
What?
Because it's ordinance change, I just think it's good policy.
We've never really let the county, or the council doesn't normally look at ordinances, do they?
No, council.
The council?
Me.
John?
This would be, since this is an ordinance, and it's an amendment to the ordinance, it has to be adopted like any ordinance, so you could introduce it at this meeting and then adopt it at the next meeting, which would give me time to take a look at it.
No, I didn't mean council, I meant John, attorney.
Okay.
Okay.
Not county council.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I went, I'm like, what?
Okay. Yeah, that's nitpicky.
And I didn't change our food permit rate, just the way it was based.
Okay. So we need to let John look at this and take it under advisement for our.
I can just give him my copies.
Hand it to him.
Thank you.
Do you want the
Well,
little copy?
Yeah.
As I understand, John, we just need a motion to accept the introduction of the other.
Right. A motion to introduce it, basically, yes.
Okay, so moved.
Second the motion. We have a motion and a second to accept
Introduction of it.
the introduction of the retail food establishment ordinance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Hey Debbie,
Yes.
we talked about your request, looked at it when you
Yes.
weren't here,
Yes.
and we tabled it until we find which line item to take that money from.
Oh, okay, all right. I've got my confidential records currently housed over in the records room.
So we're having to keep that door locked. Anyone who needs access to that, we're having to, go in and get those. So, just a note. Now I did go over to the floor store and I requested that they come over and give us a quote. They've never responded.
We don't have any problem with it, we just need to find out, with that much money, where to get the money from.
Okay, all right,
So
great.
we table it until next week.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, we've got Phil Lay here. We can talk about him. Is Dan Stowers here?
Phil Lay there.
Huh? I know Phil Lay.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at Dan Stowers. Was
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Tracy, you know her? Okay, we got that. All right, Phil Lay, we'll talk to you. You're up.
I think Jason was gonna come up too.
Jason was gonna, hey, you wanna call Jason?
I think he watches downstairs.
Yeah.
Doesn't he watch this downstairs?
Yeah, I think he watches it downstairs. Well, wait till he gets here.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, there he is, right there.
That's the man.
He's watching it.
He heard it. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
He heard the name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to introduce my wife.
You wanna wait for it?
No. I'll be all right. She's my backbone. That's all right. I can go ahead and talk. She'll be here in a few minutes.
We can wait for it if you want to.
No, that's
Since
all
you're
We got
waiting.
other things to do.
No, that's all right. Well, go ahead and get this over with. I'm nervous enough as it is. Because I'm no speaker or whatever, but I
Sounds to me like you're speaking.
did graduate from Tipton High School in '62, so the new high school.
What year from Hobbs?
58? 58, okay. Yeah, but I was going to introduce my wife. We live at 2720 South, 400 East, Tipton, Indiana. Lived at that residence for 42 years. Acquired parents' property south of that place, 40 acres. So now we decided, for 22 years, for actually 64 years, I've lived within a quarter mile of where I live, and a quarter mile where this problem is. And the reason for being here is I'm asking for help. I'll go through, I thought going to the drainage board, but I did. I went to call Jason Henderson, and he brought Mr. Van Duver to come out and witness my problem. I also called the county sheriff because, in this letter, I guess the main reason I'm here. I don't know if you
I didn't see
read
it.
the letter or not.
I didn't see it.
It was a letter from Jason and Brett Morris. And in this letter, what it determined what I had done had to be quit done, but had to quit doing, which I partially obstructed a culvert across the road to stop water from running on me. But I had a question about this letter, that I might be liable for civil damages. And my question is what's the civil damages from me restricting the water running over on me? If it's civil damage, I'm only guessing is the house across the road, basement in the water in their basement, because I talked to Jennifer, Donnie's daughter, after they had removed my obstruction 3 times. I had the county deputy out there because I had no idea who was removing my obstruction, trying to stop the water from running over on me, which runs over there for 4 or 5 days after the rain. But I talked to Jennifer. She said the water in their basement was getting up close to the floor, which I had no intention of hurting anybody or doing anything like that. My intention was stopping the water from running over on me. And if that is the reason for the civil damages, then water in my basement, the water running across the road on my side of the road, raised the water in my basement to maybe 4 foot high, which is higher than it's ever been. No, I shouldn't say that. 2 times in 64 years. One maybe back in 57, and then this year. But I've seen water in my parents' basement We had a flood then, we had a flood now. But I always have water in my basement. There's water in the basement across the road, because I knew the gentleman who lived there, Ken Ziegler, several years ago, and I went over to take care of his property when he was gone on vacation, and there was water in that basement. So I'm assuming it would tile into that basement just like it did several years ago, which had a post up it. I don't have anything in mind, which I'm going to do. I can, for $5, I can go up there and buy a plug and put in it, plug that tile, pour a full cement, put a sump pump in. So I'm just saying, I'm assuming that's what the civil damages is. Going to the obstruction, the reason for me being here is the water problem, and this letter from Jason Henderson and Brett Morris. When we go down to the request is for the block or remove the culvert under the road at our residence, north of our residence on 400 East, or plug the culvert and install a tile drain on my side of the road, which the reason for water running west on the property onto me for 4 or 5 days, and I have a picture of the water boiling under the culvert for 4 or 5 days in my corn crop. This picture was taken in 2010. So no make a difference how much water they drained. I'm going to hurt sure, I'm sorry, but I thought it was going to be talking drainage board, but the water coming under the road, the reason for the water coming under the road, it always has. Back in '57, I rode my bicycle through water across the road in the same place. So this problem's always been there. The problem had escalated because the water in the open ditch is not big enough to handle water today. They reconstructed it back 20-some years ago, but all the waterways, everybody tiled, and there's 100 acres just tiled into it this fall, last winter, so that's more water into that ditch, and it just can't handle it. But up till 5 years ago, approximately 5 years ago, we had this same water problem, water running over on me, which I live with. Okay, I live with it. But the farmer across the road put in surface drains to drain 120 acres of water, drains water from a half mile east, about a quarter mile south. And I've got aerial maps here of all the water holes that runs to that tile on the east side of the road, which where that was at one time was the woods. And today's standards, it would be, what do I want to say, swamp, not wetlands. Thank you. And they wouldn't be able to remove the woods, and water was back in there at that time. But since they removed the woods, they tile dished it forever, tried to get a crop. So the tenant before this one came in, down to the tile drain on the east side of the road. They made kind of a pit there, and then they run waterways to all those ponds, which brought all the water down to the east side of the road, which brings down till 120 acres against my 15 acres was draining to the ditch. My water goes under the culvert to the tile. After, well, if we get an inch of rain, I got 15 acres that drains down to that tile under the road. They've got 120 acres, man-made drains, which is not natural drain. My natural drain comes 15 acres. Do the math, if I get an inch of rain, I've got an inch of water, they bring 8 inches of water down to that same drain. So if I get 2 inches, they get 16, half that water going to run over on me. So instead of me having 2, I'm going to have, what, 7, 8 inches of water. Up to, sometimes 2 foot deep. It runs over on me. 2 foot deep, 2 foot at least, flooding approximately 10, 20 acres. And anyhow, I've been working at this the last few years. It's been a problem. I've talked to several drainage boards over the years, and I finally said, okay, I'll just live with it, you know. Jason, several years ago, he said, well, we put in an open ditch. That was his way to get rid of the water back some 5 or 10 years ago. But I said, well, if you put in an open ditch, I'm gonna lose more every year, I know, than what I lose, you know, in 1 year. I mean, I know the ditch is there, it's gonna be there. Sometimes the water's not there. Another point, kind of off the wall, farming or crop insurance is fine. You buy crop insurance, but it's a 4-year average. And if you have a bad year, out of that 4 years, that drops your average way down. So that don't make crop insurance so rosy. You know, it sounds good, but when you average that out, so I've had 2 bad years, and I can insure my crop for 80%, which is not near what it would be if I had 4 good years. So what I've done, I started checking this tile. Johnny Burke, the owner's dad, went back and cut it up, and I'll tell you that they cut a ring around a tree some 50 years ago to kill his tree, which he thought the roots might be in that county tile. Killed his humongous tree, which was between me and the landlord, and so, okay, maybe it did. So after I retired, I never really had a lot of time. I worked 2 jobs up to 10 years ago, but after that 10 years, now my money depends on crops more than what it did when I had the 2 jobs. So I spend more time looking at this water. So I go back to that fence line, I dig down, poke hole in the tile to see if the water's moving. Tile's full, water's moving. So I go to the west a little bit, and I dig down to the tile, and make hole, the water's moving. So I go on the other side of the fence to the west, or east, I made a hole, watched it, the water's moving, you know, the water tile's clear. I had a broken down tile halfway across my 40 acres, about 20 rods from this drain. And when they fixed that, the water tile's clear. You know, there's nothing, no obstruction. It's, I'm not sure what 15 or 18 inch at that point, the tile, the county drain. But anyhow, I put stone back over that. Okay, so I went a little farther to 400 east. I dug a hole, I put on the tile, water was flowing, good, so I put a standpipe there. So, monitoring the water. So I go a little farther to the 400 east, I put another standpipe. Now, hole, water's flowing good. So I put another standpipe there. What this done was got rid of my water. Really don't understand why, but my water that stood in the back of me where I started would stand there for a week or 2, goes within 2 days. And it gradually up to 400 east. But in the meantime, I've got 2 foot of water running over on me from the east that I've got to run down my drain or wait till their water goes down and then my water goes back under the road after it takes them about 2 days after the tile works. And the tile works. It only works after the water in the ditch gets down to a certain level. And then within a couple of days, and I think Jason's going to attest to that. Last Saturday, there was 2 foot of water out there. Saturday night, it was gone. So the tile is clean, the tile works. It's just too much water in the ditch, and until water goes down the ditch, we're going to have water. And I lived with that up till the waterways. When they made the waterways and started running 120 acres against my water, I talked to county commissioners before about that, but he mentioned taking that out. I really wasn't sure I wanted to take that out because my water has to go under to go down that tile. But since I've done this testing, my water doesn't have to go across the road to go down the tile. Talking to the county employee, he said that needs to be under there to drain water off the road. As far as the culvert under the road, which, okay, yes, and that's probably why, and I don't figure they would take the culvert out for that reason if the water's going to run under the road. if there's no water there. Because the water on me drains out, it's gone, which created this problem that they noticed all of a sudden their water is up to the road and my water is gone. So what I did was actually put something against that tile to just see what happened. And you cannot block that tile or that culvert completely with anything. But if you put something down against it, it'll shoot water 6, 8 inches in high or in the air. That's how fast it runs under the culvert onto me. So, and then go a little farther. I have 10 acres south of my house on 400 East. Okay, scenario, their water goes away, then mine and their water goes away, and then 5 days later, my water to the south goes away, which drains into the same county tile on the west side of the road. So in essence, they're getting rid of their water before I'm getting rid of my water. Okay, the tile handles water so fast. Surface drain lots faster. So, what would I say? Maybe not the right word, hogging a tile. Would my water south of my house go away faster? If the water across the road, you know, wasn't coming over on me, pushing back up into my basement, or our basement, and so on. But this, I'm the part of this is drainage board, that there's water closer to the 213, another quarter mile down the road, that stands a week longer than my last water stands on my south of my house. So there's a problem which needs to be taken up to the drainage board, which we're not going to fix unless they remove 6 culverts within a quarter mile and make a bigger ditch, which, like I say, that's drainage board problem. But what I'm asking for now is help, is to either remove that or to put a drain on my side, or just block it off and put a drain on my side, which would be no cost to that. And I would pay for the drain on my side, the tile drain on my side, if the county highway says it has to be there.
Where would this drain, what would outlet be, the drain? You're talking about on the east side or on the west side of the road?
On the west side. The drain is on the east side. The culvert, I don't know, it's a 30-inch culvert or whatever.
We're talking about where Jason and I met you then?
Right, yes.
Okay.
The drain is on the east side of the road, and that's where the water goes down.
That's where the 18-inch tile is that goes away.
Which is deceiving because there's like a 2-foot surface drain going down, tile going down to, it's either 15, I maybe 15, to a 15-inch tile. So anybody looks at it, and the person that made the waterways, I'm sure he thought, wow, that's going to make the water go down quicker. But he also knew it was going to run on me, because he asked me to put a waterway across my 40 acres, and my landlord's 40 acres, which would cut my farm in half, which again, I would lose more than I would gain to drain his water, a tenant's water, not even the owner's water, a tenant's water. It was going to destroy my 40 acres by cutting at an angle, some places 20 inches deep, some 30 inches deep. So I said, no, I don't want that. I'll just stay with it the way it is. So at that time, he intentionally knew, I'm going to say this, why would he have asked me to put a waterway across my field? He intentionally knew that water was going to run on me, which, like I said, I live with, and I talked to Jason, with an open ditch and the whole scenario, you know, I mean, an open ditch, a waterway. Some years we don't lose anything, other years we do. So what I've got is the problem, and what do we do?
What's your solution to go about?
I think you saw it with the water. I've seen it that it was dry. I can see where he's got the problem, but I think this is something we need to talk really to the drainage board and see what options we do have.
Jason's got his hand up back there.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention a couple things on the letter. We had mentioned that $2,500 can be a fine imposed if the commissioners or Brett determines that it is an obstruction. So we put that in the letter. And then the part about, the last sentence says, there's also a possibility that whoever may cause the obstruction could be liable for civil damages in a private matter. And that's just simply speaking, we've seen neighbors sue neighbor when it comes to waterways. We've got the same thing going on in Howard County. That wasn't saying that the county was gonna sue Mr. Lay. It was just like, here's a red flag, just be careful on what you're doing, because it might give your neighbor an opportunity to file suit against you. As for the reason we suggested that he come here, we thought that the culvert pipe underneath the road, which is not under the drainage board's jurisdiction, it's under the superintendent's jurisdiction and the county and the commissioners who actually own the road. So since then, Mr. Burkett, the east adjoiner, has signed a petition for reconstruction of the regulated drain. And like Mr. Lay said, we did do some topography on his area probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. So we are going to be looking at this matter again to see if it can service more water. As for his solution, I think what we were recommending is if he wanted the pipe taken out, that he had to ask this board, because this board is the one who obviously approves road cuts, approves placement. Drainage board doesn't on those.
Yeah, but before I would ever agree to suddenly take a under road tile out, I would definitely want to do some research on it and actually see what are the options.
Sure.
Okay, the options are going to be discussed in the drainage board, which we are a big part of the drainage board. So that's what I'm saying is, we've got a person that has requested some help, so I think we need to discuss what options do we have to get him some help.
Yeah, not only has Mr. Lay requested help, as when Commissioner Ziegler was here, when we looked at it 5 years ago or whatever it was, Mr. Burkett obviously is stating that he wants help by the fact that he signed a petition for reconstruction. So, and I don't disagree with what Mr. Lay was saying about a test to see how quickly the water got down on that one side. That's what he told myself and Commissioner Van Bibber. I don't disagree the fact that they've tiled in more surface water than what's probably assessed in that drainage shed. So those will be things that'll have to be modified. We'll have to change some of their assessments, Burkett's that is, to make sure that they're assessed to the right water.
To answer him, myself, I will make sure that we talk about it in the drainage board, and I will do some more research.
I would be, thank you and appreciate that. That's where I figured I would go to start with. When I got this letter, I said I better come up here, because when they talk about civil damages,
Well,
I can only say
I can mention
I talked to.
Yeah, the county highway is the one who's removed the obstructions. So
Yeah, let's just do this like this.
Sure.
When I read paragraph 2 being uninvolved,
Is that the letter?
I find it as informative.
Is that the
When I
letter?
read,
Is that the letter?
yes,
Can I read?
yes.
Yeah, you got one there.
If I am in Mr. Lay's position, I might find it threatening. So that's, now we got through that. I certainly would not be inclined to, impose any $2,500 fines. I think we just, like Phil says, we just need to look at this through the zoning or through
I'll
the
take
drainage.
one more minute of this, excuse me, but on a Saturday morning, I partially obstructed that. There's no way you could plug it. But, and you saw it partially plugged. The day you saw it,
I
the road
couldn't
was
see it.
on the east side.
The water was too deep. I couldn't
Water,
see it.
no, I had boards on the east side, so the water pushed against that. That's when you noticed. When you left, I put them on the other side. And I put rocks behind the board, which the first time I did it, the first of the week, my sandbag disappeared. I don't know who took them. I paid $4 a piece for the sandbags put in there, and they disappeared. So then I put a board in there, put rocks behind it. Well, my board disappeared. So then Saturday morning, one day I see Jennifer, that owner's daughter, and she was on telephone. That's okay. The Saturday, I'm driving down there with the shovel, getting out to move the board. So I said, hey, wait a minute. So I goes and talked to Syl. I asked her, I said, I'm sorry, but you can't remove that because you run water over on me intentionally. Well, she said, Sheen's basement It's filling up with water, he's scared, it's almost up to the floor. Well, I said, I wish he'd said something. Said, I had the county deputy sheriff out there on Friday night, I think it was, running red lights and stuff. I was thinking maybe they were taking it out, but then when Jennifer said, well, the county highway is taking it out. So then when I learned Saturday that the county highway is taking them out, so that put a whole different light on the problem. So anyhow, I'll quit taking your time, I appreciate it if you'll. I'm talking to the meetings and.
I see you've got a problem, and we will find and talk and see what solutions we can come up with.
Appreciate that.
Commissioner, I just want to make one more statement. You know, not only were we receiving calls from Mr. Lay, we're receiving calls from Burkett, him, his daughter, everyone on the east side that's flowing west. And if the water was flowing west to east on the Burketts, and Burketts did the same thing, and we thought, myself, me, and Mr. Morris thought it was an obstruction, Mr. Burkett would have received the same letter. So we're not singling out.
That is why we'll talk about it in the
Yeah.
drainage board meeting, and we will see what help we can get you, Phil.
Right. Okay.
All right.
This is my wife, Janice, sitting back over there in the corner. I told him I was gonna start without you, but not in my.
We offered to, Janice, we offered to wait, and he said, nah.
I appreciate your time and everybody's indulgence.
We will let you know.
Yes. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Walter's not here. Who else? We got on the agenda? Is Dan Stowers here yet? Fraser Ray, all right. Let's do this.
All right. We have an appointment to the Tipton County Foundation Board. I would move that we appoint Jan Henderson, 4928 South State Road 213 Atlanta, to the Foundation Board.
I'll second that motion. There's a motion and second to appoint Jan Henderson to the Tipton County Foundation Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Minutes.
Yes.
Did you find any issues?
No, there's no changes to them since you sent them out electronically. Great.
No. I found a misspelled word, but I don't remember which one it was. So I'm okay too.
What was that? What's the date on this?
I think it was 22nd.
April 22nd. I move we approve the minutes for the April 22nd meeting.
I'll second that motion. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as written for April 22nd, 2013. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. We'll do that one next.
What is it?
Economic development, you said you wanted to take it.
Oh, all right.
Maybe.
Jeff gonna do this, or
There's a resolution for it too.
I've got that?
You should have it.
Need that? Okay.
resolution number 2013-04. A resolution of the Tipton County Commissioners approving the establishment of and pledge of financial support for a regional planning organization within north central Indiana. Whereas the Commissioners previously approved the 2012 Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, which is SEED by abbreviation, a 5-year economic development strategy for the region of north central Indiana, identified as the counties of Cass, Clinton, Fulton, Howard, Miami, and Tipton. Whereas the Commissioners now believe that a regional planning organization, RPO, is necessary to implement and maintain the SEDS and provide other collaborative and necessary regional initiatives for economic growth. And whereas said RPO would be made up of elected officials or their appointees, as well as representatives from private industry, workforce development, education, and other economic and community development interests as specified in the RPO's bylaws. And whereas the North Central Indiana RPO would be acting in cooperation with county officials. Now therefore be it resolved that the Commissioners, 1, support and encourage the establishment of a RPO to enhance and support economic and community development initiatives throughout the region of north central Indiana, and pledge financial support to the RPO from its county economic development income tax cedar revenues in an amount to be negotiated on an annual basis with the Commissioners. The Commissioners reserve the right to withdraw its financial support given 12 months written notification to the Executive Director of the RPO.
I move we adopt resolution 2013-4.
Do you have any comment on this, John? Then I'll second that motion. We have a motion made and seconded to adopt resolution number 2013-04, which is approving the establishment of and pledge of financial support for a regional planning organization within north central Indiana. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
Excuse me, Phil, is that the one where you pay 78 cents per resident?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it was 77, wasn't it?
76 or 78 cents.
77 sounds good to me.
Yeah.
That is possible variance too, you know.
Well, yeah, it starts off.
That 77 isn't a hard number.
Okay. Thank you.
It's based by per citizen for all counties.
Right.
Can I do this? Well,
What do we got?
I just want to give the jail study committee, or jail study group subcommittees, just for the record.
We talked last time about checking with insurance agent on the damage that was done in the clerk's office in the water damage.
We don't meet the deductible.
We don't get to deduct. I thought so. Okay, what else we got? We're still in the schedule.
Is this open for public?
Not yet. You got anything you want to bring up? Any issues? You talked about this.
Community correction grant agreement, what's that?
She's not here.
Assessment award announcement, what's that?
Assessment? That's Linda Altair. Can you call Linda and tell her we're ready? Yes, Jason.
Just want to make a quick statement regarding the comprehensive plan. All the steering committee changes, it's been revised, it's on the front page, the link is on the front page of our county website, so that document reflects all the steering committee changes. Like Commissioner said, we're going to start this Thursday out at the Foundation Building with delving into that document, and then have the consultant come up and give a presentation, roughly about 2 weeks after that. I just wanted to anybody here that's gonna be attending the meeting, if they got any changes or recommendations, look at that document.
Thank you.
Write those out and feel free to bring a copy to us as we're gonna start working through that document foundation.
You got one question I would like to ask. There's 10 pages added to it, from 60 to 70. And I understand a lot of our, in regard to windmills. Who added that to it? What meeting brought that about?
That would have been through Steve Edson and the steering committee. They would have, I haven't read
That
the
was not
entire
public.
document.
It was not public, my friend.
The
We
steering
didn't miss
committee,
one.
the steering committee meeting
Yeah,
will go
but there's nothing public, the document does not require, at this point, public hearing.
Oh, okay, I thought you had to
No,
have that. to
Right,
put that
when you
in.
start on the 9th, this week, then,
Yeah, but what he's talking about, the steering committee, every one of those meetings was open to the public.
No, you're missing the point. The last one we went to, which was an open meeting, there were 60 pages to it, now there's 70. There was 10 pages added. I just asked how they were added, Joe answered that. He said they could add them, and no public hearing, but we'll have a public hearing to discuss it. When did you say, Joe? What was the date? Thursday, anyway.
We start
Thursday.
this Thursday, that's not the public hearing.
So that's taken
public
care of.
hearing, I just assume you're going to take public comment.
Right,
Well, you better
I'm
do
hoping,
that.
yeah, I'm hoping they take the chance to write some things down and give it to us in writing, so that's all I,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Linda?
Well, we have, John's got some information. We have awarded, we have chosen Tyler Technology, and John kind of wrote it down for you guys to look at what they offered, what we wanted. So, also, that's our recommendation. So if you want to kind of look at it for a minute, and then John can kind of fill in, because he researched all four.
Which was your recommendation?
Tyler.
Tyler?
The low bidder, there, at the last meeting, you opened 4 bids for new construction and trending services for the assessor. There was quite a spread of money between the low bid and the high bid, 18,000 up to 45,000. So Linda asked me to take a look at all the bids submitted to make sure that there wasn't something that was missing, or somebody had missed something as to why that, basically you don't get $27,000 spread of this kind of services. So in looking at the proposals, Tyler Technology had everything that they needed to have. Their bid was qualified. We know that they've done work for the county in the past. They're competent, and they had a low bid of $18,000. And so that's a recommendation that Belinda has for these commissioners.
How's this funded?
This Linda's a reassessment fund.
Linda, John, I certainly appreciate this effort. This makes our job a lot easier for people.
Thank you, John.
When you come up with this kind of detail.
Well, there's so many words that can change everything, and I said, John, I want you to look at it, because I want to miss nothing. Right. That's a big difference.
Make a motion to enter in.
What I would say is you would make a motion to approve the bid of Tyler Technologies, and then a separate motion to permit the president of the Board of Commissioners to sign the contract. I prepared a contract, I sent it to Linda. Linda had a couple of changes to it. Once I make those changes, I'm going to send it to Tyler Technologies for them to make sure they're comfortable with everything. There were a couple alternates that we didn't like, so we
You
took
don't need
them
to
out.
sign today then?
No, it won't be signed today, but we would like to have it signed before the next meeting.
Yeah, so
You like
somebody
both
can,
motions today?
2 motions, yes.
Today.
Yes.
I move we
because I have to also send it to the state to be
Right.
approved.
I move we accept the bid from Tyler Technologies for $18,000 for the new construction.
I'll second that motion. The motion been made and seconded to accept Tyler Technology bid for the $18,000 for the 2013 or 14 new construction. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move we authorize the President of the County Commissioners to sign the contract with Tyler Technologies when it's presented by the assessor.
Second the motion. There's been a motion made and seconded to allow the president of the BOC to sign and enter with Tyler Technologies when presented by the assessor. All those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carried.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, John. Tracy Renee.
Good morning.
It is.
Today I'm here with the Community Corrections Grant Agreement. In order to continue community corrections programming, you have to have an agreement between the county and the state of Indiana so that the Department of Corrections will fund us. I sent the agreement prior. I have an original here for signatures. The programs and the money is the same as previous years, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
You would make a motion?
Yes, do you have a motion or?
I have the agreement that I need your original signatures on.
So you just need a motion to approve the agreement?
Yes.
Which agreement?
Community Corrections.
Agreement with
The Department of Corrections.
I move we authorize the agreement between the Community Corrections Program as presented.
I'll second the motion. We have a motion and seconded to enter into the agreement between the Department of Corrections and Community Corrections. Is that correct?
It'd be Tipton County and the state of Indiana.
Tipton County and the State of Indiana Corrections. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Also on the particular which is
Is
signed.
that close enough,
signature
Josh?
on anyone on the account. And don't we only want it, they signed all their rights too. I'll bring you that.
No, you were.
I never had a time.
You never did? Here we're gonna look at just for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, next time, you probably won't be here.
I talked to him on the phone, and I don't think he'll be.
You got more business?
What's this? Well, it's in Department of Environmental Management. It's a notice of decision. Is this just for our information?
Yeah, that's just a test. You got any business, Greg? Huh? Nancy?
Yep. Hi, can you hear me? My name is Nancy Carney. I live in Sharpsville, Indiana, and I actually had two things I wanted to address, but I'm only able to do one today. I would like to address the situation with the Tipton County website. I would like to first thank everybody that has been responsible for loading the minutes onto the website for all of the different meetings that's been going on. I realize that you don't have to do this, but both the minutes and the claims used to be put on the site for many years, every other week, and I cannot understand why that practice was stopped. It's not that hard to do, and it is a nice service that you provide to all citizens that cannot attend meetings every time. You folks seem to want to push the whole clean and green thing down our throats, so in reality, you are helping to contribute to this cause. So myself and many others do not have to drive 10 miles one way to go to the auditor to ask for the minutes. It is my request that the claims also get loaded onto the website as well. All of you folks keep saying that this is time consuming, but it really does not take that much time at all. Besides, even if 2 or 3 people arrived at the courthouse and asked the auditor to get the copies of these documents to us, then he is spending more time from each interruption than it would take to make this information available to all citizens on the website. I would also like to request that whoever is loading these documents to please place them in the appropriate columns. For instance, the May 31st, 2011 Tipton County Council minutes are found under the title of Commissioner Minutes. The correct column is directly below the Commissioner Minutes. Next, when looking at the Drainage Board minutes, the Planning Commission minutes, or the Big Cicero Joint Drainage Board minutes, you will find that those are all loaded in horizontally instead of the normal vertical manner. Quite frankly, I find it annoying to have to rotate every page so I can read it. I believe these are simple requests and would appreciate it if any or all could be done. Thank you for your time. Greg, I have a copy of what I just said. Save you from having to do anything with that.
You want to talk to Mr. Stewart about the thing?
Well, those are, well, all of them extent. The one thing I think we need to put to bed today is this claims thing. The other is columns and all that. I understand the annoyance, but I can't.
We can tell Bill.
Tell Bill, try to do better. The claims thing to me has always been the resistance, as I understand it, Greg, has been proprietary information or account numbers and things like that.
Yes.
Now, the claims form that I get prior to the meetings, which are electronic, there's never any numbers there that are.
I have been
Those are
concerned
just
that some of the vendor numbers.
internal claim number, or internal account lines and things like that are there, but that's.
It's an extra burden that's added to the auditor's responsibility. Counties are not doing that.
No, John, does Delaware County do that?
No,
Do you know of any county that does post their claims?
no, I'm not aware of any.
But we used to, for years.
They used to be posted in the newspaper.
It was also on the website.
The state used to require all counties to publish all claims too, and they stopped that about 4 or 8 years ago, something like that.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, I would really like to see the details of where this money is going. You folks approve a bulk number, and none of us know what that money is going to. And since I'm forced to come here now and supervise what steps are being done, I would really like to know where our money, all of our money, is going to. Not just $140,000 for this and $25,000 for that. And I'm sorry, Greg, no offense, it is not that hard to do. It was taken care of for many years, every other week. And I know that you don't have to do it, but it's going to be a lot harder on you if 3 or 4 of us come every other week and ask for those. True, you don't have to give them to me right away. I will drive over here and waste my gas and time to do it if I have to. I'm trying to save you time, really, in the long run. Because if 4 or 5 of us decide to start doing that, which I think you know now our CRD is pretty strong, we can manage to do that, then it will take more time for you to come up and talk to each one of us and print those off. I'm just trying to make it easier, really, in the long run for all of us to be able to read this information that should be for us to read.
I guess I think it's Greg's office, if he doesn't want to post them and wants to give out the hard copies, I think that's his decision. So I will support Greg.
Well, I will too, as far as that goes. And I assume that's John, that's Greg's decision.
Yes.
And we have no authority to supersede that, so that's fine. I don't necessarily, I think there's some degree of, I have a degree of agreement with what you're saying for this reason. The minute that form right there, as I understand it, is picked up, it's a matter of public record.
It is.
Okay.
So is that the detailed list that you have?
This is what I voted on.
So can I get that one?
Is that all what
It's
expenditures on it,
subject
Joey?
to- It's subject
That's
to
what we should-
redaction by my office before released. If there's information in that should not be released because it is.
What if I just,
Once it's approved, it shouldn't have to be redacted.
well,
No, it does, if it does have identified information, whether it's a public record or not, you know, if there's information on there that needs to be redacted, it's redacted. I mean, what you have in front of you is what's called a contemplative document. It's something that's subject to your review. You get, commissioners, all elected officials get lots of documents that they use to make their decisions. Those aren't all public records.
and until it's signed, the minute we sign it, approve it, then it's public record.
The document itself that you have in your hand there, not necessarily. The claims are.
Anybody
That was what
else?
I was asking about, was the claims today.
Jim?
I understand we still have an opening in the planning commission appointments, Democrat.
That's correct.
We've had names turned in.
That's correct.
We have the committee chair asking and requesting that you guys go ahead with it. They've gone ahead and even suggested a name on that group to put in there. What is the holdup?
We have not made a decision yet. We don't want to jump in just because somebody demands we do it right now.
Well, I understand that, but it's been about 3 weeks now. We made a quick decision on the Republican one. I just wondered why we were holding up on the Democrat.
Jim, that wasn't as quick a decision as you thought. There's been a lot of time and hours talking to people. We are still talking about the other appointment.
You think we'll get that full board eventually when we can start to talk about getting into the
I definitely think we will get it filled, yes.
the comprehensive plan and also our ordinances? We sure like to be able to get onto that as soon as we can.
That will not hold up any of the discussions.
Okay, so there's really no reason why we're holding up, just that we haven't gone ahead and looked at everyone and turned them inside and out yet.
That is correct.
I hope it gets done pretty quick. Joe, you got any comment?
No.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything?
Move adjourned.
Second. We've got a motion and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carried.